I call myself a professional music fan. It's a whole new thing that I based my brand around. First of all, I'm a music fan. That's not a photographer. I'm not a videographer. I'm not a director. I'm not an editor. I'm not a DJ. I'm a music fan, fanatic music fan.
Hey, welcome to the Gifted Conversations, where I'm talking to people who are sharing their gift with those around them and the world at large. My guest tonight is the multidisciplined Dana Distortion. She's a photographer, videographer, DJ, brand owner, but most importantly, she's a fanatic music fan. We talk about the nostalgic rock clubs of New York City, being a music fan first, getting hurt in the photo pit, perils of the music industry, and so much more. So fill up your cup, because we're about to rock and roll. Dana Distortion, thank you so much for doing this. I appreciate it, and it's so nice to see you and chat with you. It's been a minute.
Yes, it has been a minute. How are you?
All things considered, I'm doing pretty well, taking it one day at a time. How about yourself?
I'm great. Yeah, we gotta keep positive and creative and busy these days, I guess, which is why you're doing a podcast, which is great.
Exactly. Yeah, I had idle hands, nothing but time, so I figured it was the right moment to get a podcast going. So yeah, it's good so
Mm.
far.
It seems like a good solution for a lot of people, so I'm glad people are doing that. It's great
Yeah, exactly. It's a perfect way to kind of buttress a lot of the other work I'm trying to do. And
because you
so
can't play shows right now.
no, yeah, not right now, and who knows when that'll be. But it's also selfishly I get to talk to people like you and people that I just admire, so I really enjoy that part of it.
Oh, awesome! Thank you. Wait, was it talk to you and some people I admire, or was it talk to you because you're? No, I'm joking. I'm joking. I'm glad to be here. Hello.
Yeah, you know my admiration for you and what you're up to. And speaking of which, I mean, you do so many things. So, photography, film, you've got a podcast, you've got your own fashion brand. Can you just talk to me a little bit about what you're up to and what you have going on?
Damn, I sound awesome. I do all that.
You are
Yeah.
awesome.
Thank you. Well, yeah, I'm a multi. I don't want to say multi-talent, but I'm multi. How do you say it when somebody does a lot of things?
Disciplined.
Yeah, I just have to do a lot of things, or I get bored to death. So like, I just have so many things I want to do, which I don't know if it's a great thing or a horrible thing because my whole life people told me you got to focus on one thing. And I'm like, why? Why do I have to focus on one thing if I like to do so many things? So I just don't go by the rules, obviously, and I just do a lot of things. So yeah.
Well, I think that's great, and I too am one who kind of likes to do a lot of different things. Keeps things interesting. Similar where I get bored of things quickly and easily and whatnot. So
Yeah. I don't even get bored quickly, but I just love doing a lot of things. There's so many great things to do in this. I don't get when people say I'm bored. I don't think I've ever said I'm bored in my entire life. I've never said that sentence. I'm never bored, honestly. If I'm bored, I find something to do. That's just what I do.
yeah,
You can always add more things to do.
yeah, exactly. That's a good statement to have never have said. Being bored, especially since we live in New York and there's
Yeah.
so much shit going on. Maybe not necessarily during COVID times, but just in general. Yeah, it's not a bad place to be here.
Dude, COVID time, it's great because I get to do things that I've never gotten to do before, like finally renovating my apartment after 11 years I live here. Learning to bake a lot, learning to cook a lot of things, stuff, just do things that you normally wouldn't do. I think it's like, yes, of course, it's a very challenging time, but it's also, there's always something to do. I mean, television is not everything, there's other things to do, but I think it's a state of mind.
A state of
Boredom is a
mind.
state of mind. Yeah. If you'll sit and say, I'm bored, I'm bored, I'm bored, instead of that, get up and fucking do something. How
That's
about
right.
that?
Yeah, I'm with you, and hence me starting this little podcast to try to get things going. Yeah, just get up and do something.
Did you tell the audience that we are matching in our outfits today, which is absolutely fucking awesome?
I haven't. I was wondering when I was gonna pepper that in, where we both have the black hoodies, Some you have sunglasses on, I just have regular glasses, but it's a good vibe.
You didn't give me enough time, or I would put regular glasses, but we both have beanies
Oh, you do have
as
the beanie as
well.
well, yeah, the beanie and the hoodie vibe, I like
I
it.
matched. I matched to you. I matched to you. I loved your style, so I had to go ahead and do it myself.
Well, it looks great.
Thank you. You look not bad yourself. Oh, and we do have both. We both have even the nose rings.
Nose rings, yeah, it's a good look. I appreciate the look. I enjoy it. So,
I just put shades on so you won't be able to see that I'm staring at myself the whole time.
yeah, I
So I
wouldn't
don't have to look at you. Okay, no, I'm joking. I'm joking.
I wouldn't mind putting sunglasses on to cover the bags under my eyes since I slept like shit last night. But whatever.
Were you excited for our conversation? Were you nervous and you couldn't sleep?
Of course, I always get a little nervous before these things, but I my guests often intimidate me, and even though we've met a couple times and done photo shoots and this and that, I'm still always a little bit intimidated. So
Oh, it's the one thing I hate when people tell me is we're intimidated. I'm so nice. Why would you be intimidated by me? I'm like, am I not nice? People always tell me that, like, yeah, people are so intimidated by me. I'm like, why would people be intimidated? Am I not nice? Have I ever not been nice to you?
you've been nothing but super sweet and supportive over like the course of a couple years now since we've met. So no, it's not that. I just want to
I'm such
like.
a gentle flower. Why are people intimidated by me? I don't understand that. I cry from commercials, you know?
Well, I think it's
I
because
don't
you
get it.
just do some really incredible work,
So
and
what?
I don't know. I mean, yeah, I don't know. I shouldn't be intimidated, but I am a little bit. But now that we're matching and chatting and stuff, it's all good. We're just hanging out. I wanted to kind of start this little thing in the beginning, just because I was curious about a couple things. But you grew up, you grew up in Israel. Is that correct?
Correct. Tel Aviv, Israel.
Tel Aviv, Israel, amazing. And I'm just wondering, like, when you were growing up, how did Israel shape you, and or was there a cool or interesting kind of flourishing artistic or creative community over there?
Till this very day, I always say that I am so happy that I was born and raised in Israel. It definitely shaped me to be who I am. I think Israel, although I was born, people always say Israelis are very aggressive. And I always answer, well, you would be too if you were born in a state of war. Like we're always under some sort of war or, conflict. It's very hard. It makes you very, maybe a lot of time angry, frustrated, but I never let that affect me, I think. But Israel is an amazing, amazing tiny place, sometimes too small. But growing up there was magical. Like I literally grew up in a rock club called Roxanne, even though I was very, very, very young to go to clubs. But literally, I no drugs, no alcohol. Maybe I started smoking cigarettes very early, but nothing. I didn't do anything wrong but listening to music. So it was you get mature very quickly in Israel. I'm very independent. It's a place that you 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 you're allowed to be very independent in a very young age, and I think that shaped me a lot. Also, music wise, in Israel there's a lot of bands from Europe, so we get diversity of bands from all around the world and music from all around the world, which I think shaped me in the long run. It's a very special place. I'm very happy that I grew up there.
That's amazing to hear, and I love the idea of a rock club being called Roxanne over there, where you're getting world class talent rolling through. That's amazing.
Yeah, we discovered Radiohead. They played there, before they were even big. I was at that show, and they uh, they were discovered there. Israel is one of the countries that loved Radiohead right from the get go, and we're very proud of that. And even Radiohead say that, so themselves say that. So that's something to be proud of, I guess.
Wow, that's like a historic moment. Yeah, nicely done, Israel. I love Radiohead, along with like everybody
Yeah,
else on the planet. But yeah,
I literally saw them in front of like 10 people. No, there were more because they were pretty big when they brought them there, but maybe 50 or 100 people in a tiny, tiny club. That was the first time I saw Radiohead. And I think I was 15, 14, 15. I was very young. Yeah.
God damn, that's so amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, I had pretty amazing childhood, I gotta say. I really did.
When you were going to some of these shows and whatnot, did you start doing photography or film back then, or were you just kind of there as a fan?
Oh, definitely a fan. I didn't start photography. I started literally a decade ago. I'm only taking photos like I took some black and white printing classes, a hobby. Like I always loved photography, but I never did it professionally. And more of like a darkroom sort of situation, not digital photography. That literally I started 10 years ago. But my whole life I was just around music, around shows, around bands. Photography started way later. Video started earlier. I went to film school in Israel and then I graduated here at SVA in the film department. In a way, it was always a part of me, but professionally, I got to do it later. Like I started with film, I started with video, and then I went to photography. But always music and creativeness was around me my whole life. So probably I started then. But I was definitely a fan. I definitely started as a fan. I call myself a professional music fan. It's a whole new thing that I based my brand around. You know, first of all, I'm a music fan. I'm not a photographer. I'm not a videographer. I'm not a director. I'm not an editor. I'm not a DJ. I'm a music fan, fanatic music fan.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think some of through all the work that you do, the fan aspect really shines through, which is
Yes.
great. And I think that's a beautiful kind of like um, theme throughout the work.
Which is why I get fans, and a lot of things that I do are music fans related. You know, my films, my projects, my podcasts. It's all about music fans. It's something that is very dear to me.
And as you mentioned, being a huge fan of music and doing some DJ work, do you play any instruments, or did you ever have your own rock and roll band that you started or played in?
I do. I started as a drummer at 11 years old. I had my first drum set, and I came to my parents and I was like, "Mom, Dad, I don't want a desk in my room. I want a couch. I want a couch and a drum set." And my parents were like, "Huh?" But they did it. You know, I always knew what I wanted, and I knew how to get what I wanted. So they did get me a drum set and a couch, and I got my desk out. And they said, as long as you do your homework, yeah, right. But as long as you do that, that's fine. They always supported my musical talent. Yeah, I play most instruments, not none of them professionally, but I have a piano, a bass, a guitar. I have a whole band, electric drums. Uh, what else do I have? Classic guitar, electric guitar. I have all instruments, and I play and I jam. I love jamming with friends. And I did have a band when I was 15, and I was the drummer, and that was the only official band that I had. It was a whole all girls band, heavy metal girls band.
Oh, that's incredible! I love that so much.
Yeah, but I never had time to actually like. And yeah, I never. I had other things to do, so I never. But I play. I play all the time. I jam all the time with friends. I'm not great at it, but I'm good enough to pull a jam session, which is good. Now I'm like in the pandemic, I became a better bass player. I started practicing a lot, so I'm better. So I'm always getting better, but I'm not definitely not a professional musician in all means.
Yeah, well, let me know if you're ever gonna. Bass is my only specialty, so if you want to hop on drums again, or if we can have a band with two bass players or something, let me know.
Hell no, I'll do drums, man. I'll do drums, absolutely. I jam all the time. Just call me up the next time, and I'll come. I'll play whatever. I can play a lot of different instruments. It's okay. We can do a band together,
Perfect. I'll hit you up for sure. Um,
please.
so you mentioned that you came to New York City around like 2000,
Yes, exactly in 2000.
exactly 2000.
August 2000, exactly 20 years ago.
Amazing. Well, yeah, 20 years in the city. I still have like romantic ideas of the city. I'm just wondering, like, what was the city like in 2000? Who were some of the bands that were coming up? Where are some of the spots that you were kind of hanging out music related?
Well, when I just came to New York, I was everywhere. Literally, I was in my 20s, and I took a year off college before I went to SVA here, and that was the year of I was everywhere. I used to go to this place called Spa, which is where I met the Strokes before they were even like all the musicians used to hang out there. I used to go to a place called Sway. Again, all the like I was countless times sitting with Bono at the same time. Like I think about it now that if I would still go to Sway, which I think is reopened under a different management, but back in the day, everybody used to come there. And later on, when I became a music photographer, I was like, when I wasn't a music photographer, I used to bump into Bono and to Lenny Kravitz, and now when I'm like looking for them, I can't find them anywhere. So yeah, I used to go to these places, which I don't know how I was always attracted to places where musicians would be there. So like, I guess it was just meant to be for me. And then after that, I went to college. I became a good girl. I just went to school. And then afterwards, I worked at a place called Luna Lounge, which is a very legendary bar, used to be, it closed, and Motor City, which was another place that was, and again, all the like musicians used to come to these places. So yeah, and when I became a music photographer, all the good places closed, and I never see musicians down the street anymore. It's just, I don't, or maybe it's the pandemic. I don't know. Or maybe I was just
Yeah.
too busy to sit at bars. I don't know. But yeah, I worked at these places, which were, yeah, New York was definitely had a gigantic music scene back in the day. I don't think it's the same anymore. Or maybe I'm just older. Maybe I'm just older. I don't know. Is there a scene?
I don't want to talk shit on the scene. I don't know. Like the thing is, like hearing you where you're like going to these like legendary rock clubs, and you can just like meet whoever it is, the Strokes or Lenny, and you're like having a drink with them and just kind of shooting the shit, and it's like friendly and fun. Like everything seems so like celebrity or VIP ish now. Where I don't know if that's
Yeah,
I
you're
really
right.
like
You're right.
the Berlin Club here in the city. I really
Oh, I
hope
love
places
Berlin.
like that survive, but that's been the closest that I could think of to like a CBGB kind of vibe where it's still like gritty and raw, and you can kind of bump into, I saw Debbie
Yeah,
Harry there once, so it's cool that like people like that still hang
yeah.
out there. But I
A
don't know,
lot of
hearing
people, a
about
lot of musicians are. Yeah. Sorry.
yeah, but it still doesn't. I don't know. It's nowadays it doesn't feel like, and I don't know, maybe that's just like the placement of music in the greater landscape of like entertainment. Where back then it just seems like music had more of a cultural impact than it does now, but I too could be
It's
getting
funny
old
that
or
you say
something.
that. It's funny that you say that because also Berlin for me is when I walked there, walk and I did my clothing brand launch there. I think you were there. Were
Yeah,
you?
yeah, yeah.
No, maybe you
I
bailed because it was a very cold day. But that's why I did my and the reason why I did it there was because besides being friends with everybody there, is because it's the first place in many many years that I walked into, and I said it reminds me of the old New York and the old East Village. So yeah, I agree with you. It's definitely maybe the only place now that feels kind of like has that vibe to it.
yeah, exactly, and that's I'm sure as you do as well, like, we have friends that DJ there on fun nights and stuff, and that's been yeah, beyond that, I just haven't found any sort of kind of quote unquote "rock club" here in the city that's like, "Oh, this is the spot." So Berlin's always been the one, for me at least.
Yeah, same. But that's it, right? That's it. Like everything changed so much. I feel really. I miss old New York a lot. I mean, I am older now and I don't really have time to go out and drink even, but believe it or not, I but a big portion of my youth was going out in New York City, and wow, New York was just glamorous at the time. I just remember I was like thinking to myself, I can't even believe. I still do, by the way. I still wake up every single morning and say, I cannot believe I live in New York. I swear, I still say that every single day of my life. But now it's different things. Now I'm like, oh, I can't believe I live in this gorgeous apartment. Or I can't believe that it's different than then. Then I was like this young, crazy girl. I was so crazy in my 20s, and I was just like everywhere. I would go out and be at like these hotel parties. Like everything was just so just like you see in the movies, I think. I'm sure you know. It was just like horrible and glamorous at the same time, but it
Oh,
was,
I love
yeah,
hearing that.
it was New York City, all the Sid and Nancy, Chelsea Hotel. It's all true. Whoever that never been to New York, this is how New York used to be. And then it just really changed within the years. I feel like the Lower East Side became this like college kids uh compound. I don't know. Everything just really,
Sure.
really changed. Rent went really up, and New York just really cleaned out, I guess. I don't know. I became a yuppie, so I guess for me, I'm a rocker yuppie, but I'm definitely it's not this like yeah. I still like dive bars, but it's just not the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, I still have days like you were saying where I walk through New York and it's like I can't believe I live here. Like this is so incredible, and I just love kind of hearing stories of old New York that I missed by like probably a decade or so.
When
But
did you move
just
here?
here, I'm like I just crossed 6 years, so like 2014 ish, late 2014, I think.
And where from?
At that point, I was living in Colorado.
Where were you born though?
I was born in Kiev in Ukraine, but I grew up in like upstate New York,
Right.
which is still like a polar opposite
Oh,
of.
okay. So you grew up in upstate, so it wasn't that far.
I mean, it's like the redneck kind of woods area, so
Yeah.
but which makes it being here all the more amazing to me. And you were saying how like at some of these spots when you were going out and this and that meeting and hanging out with some of these like famous musicians and stuff. I mean, you've gone on to photograph a bunch of them, whether it's like U2 or Lenny Kravitz or whatever like household name. Did you get into some of these? Did you end up photographing them some kind of because you were friends with them, or how did you kind of get about?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. No, no. And you know what the crazy thing is that when I started, I absolutely knew almost no one in the business, and whoever I did know didn't want to help me. Like I gotta say that the music industry, and I'm sorry to say that, and I will say that again and again and again, is one of the and I don't want to badmouth anybody, and I won't say names, but it's the worst industry to be working for. It's full of fucking ego. It's full of fucking people do not want to help you. And I get it. I mean, one person told me, you got to start at the bottom and make your way up. And I'm very grateful for that. And I did that. And proudly, I got to say that everything that I created, everything that I earned it with my own two hands and feet and teeth and whatever I had to use to get no, that sounds really bad. But you know what I mean? Like I worked so hard to get to where I'm at today, and I'm still working so hard every day of my life. Um, I never used connections because I wanted to get to where I'm at by myself, but also really no one wanted to help me. Sad as it is sound. Yeah. So even now, my famous friends usually don't wanna help me. I'm not joking, it's so sad, like and it's okay, like, I don't wanna I'm a person that don't like to use anybody, and I prefer to go the hard way, and usually when I ask people to help me, it doesn't work out, so so I just stopped asking for help, I guess. And I get it, famous people use them all the time. So it's like it makes sense. But yeah, I had to work very hard to get to where I'm at. No, nobody helped me when I started. No.
I love hearing the hustle, and it's yeah. I mean, it's just seeing some of the people you've taken photos of. It's so interesting to hear that it's like yeah, no favors were done. It was just fucking hard work and grinding. And I was trying to do a little bit of research, but there was a story that I read how you took pictures of Thurston Moore and Sonic Youth just by kind of being, unabashed and not being ashamed or embarrassed, but just being like, "Hey, I'm a huge fan. I'd love to take a picture. Can I, be the photographer for your band?" And he's like, yeah, talked to my manager and that it actually worked out. I'm
Yeah.
just wondering if you could talk to me about a little bit about like the idea of hustle and like where does that come from? How'd you cultivate that?
Well, first, I wanted it very much. Once I discovered music photography, I wanted to do it with all my heart, and I loved doing it, and I was very passionate about it. And again, for me, I didn't even know that music photography could be a career. I just wanted to go to shows and not being having to go on Ticketmaster and try to score tickets and usually be very disappointed because it's sold out. So that's really that was really why I was like, oh my god, I can do this and like go to shows, yay! Which is another problem I have with the music industry is that people know that and oh, we're not going to give you money, but we're going to get you in the show. So when you start, it's great, but then after a long time of doing it, you feel a little used. But
I can imagine.
yeah, because like people just don't take music photography seriously. They think that, oh, it's just you just need to press a button. Oh, you take photos of all these famous people. Why are you even complaining when we're not crediting you for your photos? It's like we're just really been taken very not unseriously. Unseriously, can even say that. Like it's a big struggle, and on one hand, you really wanna shoot that show, and on the other hand, you feel very disrespected, because you're not getting paid for it. It's always a hustle, I feel. For me, it was, I just I don't get demotivated easily, and I have burning passion for what I do, and I think that's what, makes me, maybe a little different than others because I never let ego ruin it for me. The only thing that I did was I sometimes let my emotions get the best of me, and it's something that I worked, over there to not to not say always what I feel, which is very hard for me to do. I just feel like I'm really different about everything, and everything I do is very different. So you got to just take whatever and see your situation. Everything's different. What was the question?
I was
Okay. I
just
forgot.
wondering about the hustle of like
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
making shit happen.
Yeah, so to me, hustling comes naturally. I am a fighter and I am determined to get to places that I want to get to. And it's sad to me to see that a lot of people get very demoralized by other people. We live in a very, very, judgmental world, I feel. It's very, very hard to be an individual and um, not be eaten alive for it. And
Yeah,
I just
for sure.
yeah, I just don't care. To be honest, I just don't care. I strive to create. I strive to inspire people. I strive to help out people. The only reason I would want to be famous is because I know that people will listen to me when I try to help out. That's really the only reason that always motivated me to not be very private and personal. But hustling is, it's in every field of life. I feel it doesn't really matter who you are and what you do. You always have to hustle. If it's the demons in your head, or if it's the competition, or if it's the person who doesn't want to pay you, or if it's the friend that fucks your boyfriend, or you always have to hustle somehow. So yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, I'm looking back, I'm hoping that I always treated some of the concert photographers that wanted to like shoot for the band. I hope I treated them well, or at least got them some like drink tickets or paid them a little bit, or let them hang out backstage with with the other bands or something. Just because I'm sure I was a dickhead at some point. I like build myself up, but I'm sure I was rude at some point. But I hope I wasn't as rude as just some of the other things I've seen, and just how ungrateful people are towards concert photographers, or when they never credit you for the pictures that you've taken, which is like the very kind of least one could do.
yeah.
Um, so I've always
Or
that's
or spell your name right. How about that? I have so many like people spelled my name wrong. And then but the funny thing is that when you ask them to, like, let's say complain about it, even if I didn't complain, they're very rude to you, as if like you were asking them for $1 million. You know what I mean? Or like how
yeah.
many times did I get like people asking me for photos and then I would say, "Oh, what's the fee involved?" And they would just disappear. So one time I was asked by a big artist management to take photos of that artist, and I was so excited because it's like one of the artists that I love the most. And then the next day they just disappeared, and I was just like, I guess they found a local person where that event happened, but not even the dignity to tell me, "Oh, we found somebody else." They literally stop responding to me. So like when they want you, they will hustle, like they will fucking email you 50 times a day, what's going on and what's your fee and how, blah, blah, blah. But the minute that they don't want you or your fee is too high, they literally just disappear. They don't even reply back. It's just there's a lot of disrespect. I have stories. I swear one day I will write a book about it because it's just I don't know, is it like that in every and then I see like the famous people, how are they treated and how we are treated, and it's just we are the same people. I always say, I don't care how famous you are, your shit stinks. It's like we're all human beings. Like why do you treat some people in that way and some people in another is for me, I don't understand that at all. So like because you're famous and you make a lot of money, you can be an asshole or your management can be an asshole. I don't get it. It's something I never liked and never got.
Yeah, I don't know what other elements of the entertainment industry are like, but yeah, sounds about right. The music industry being full of a bunch of sharks and whatnot. And from my little experience in it, yeah, definitely when it's like you give somebody your rate and then they just ghost you, or it's like you'll just never hear back. It's like,
Yeah,
what the fuck?
when they need you, they like to run all over you. But then the minute they find somebody else, or you give them a fee, they like ghost you. I mean, just be a nice person. It doesn't matter. We don't have to work together. You don't have to accept what I say, but at least say, all right, we're gonna look for somebody else. Thank you very much. I don't know why, because it's famous people, then people feel the need to treat other people. It's very, very important to me to treat everybody in the same way. I try, of course we're not perfect. And like you said, you probably were a dick sometime. We all are. But the majority of stories that I have working for 10 years with the music industry is not so good.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me hearing that a lot of those stories aren't the nicest, or yeah, just not good regarding people in the music industry. Yeah, not surprising to me. And the other thing that I enjoyed when I was kind of looking up some of your work and whatnot, when you're kind of shooting in the photo pit, which is right in between kind of the front row and the stage, there's a small little section where security and the photographers kind of hang out and whatnot. And I was reading that you would be talking to fans there, kind of shooting the shit with them and building some camaraderie, like in between whatever the sets or in between the opener and whatnot. So I think that's
Absolutely.
yeah, and that's important. Those people waited in line for whatever hours and paid good money. So, even though you're not directly affiliated with any band, but just being able to kind of talk to them, be like, hey, I here's what I'm up to, photography, fashion, this and that. I think that's amazing that you would kind of build that rapport with them.
Always, music fans are the most important. I love taking photos of them. I'm working on a major project right now that is involved music fans. Uh, I take so many hours talking to music fans, if it's online on Facebook or at shows. Again, I see myself as one, so I understand that they're fascinating to me, and seeing how they are reacting to the music is just putting tears in my eyes every single time. It's just amazing to see the reaction of true fans towards the artists that they love. Is just it's so emotional to me. It's just seeing somebody at their highest peak of emotion, sort of, and see how music affects people is just amazing and fascinating for me to watch. And I love them. I just love music fans just as much as I love music. It's a big part of it.
Yeah, absolutely. I saw David Byrne's American Utopia. Is that the name of it?
Yeah.
But then they played one of the songs, "This Must Be the Place," and it's just such a. I mean, I totally teared up and kind of cried just because that's like one of my favorite songs of all time. But then you see it in that venue, and just it's just so intimate and beautiful. So yeah, when if you're sitting there front row and your favorite band plays one of your favorite songs of all time, that's peak emotional experience right there. So I hear you.
I think now during the pandemic, when there aren't live shows, is a great way to really see how fans are missing and like how a live audience is missing. And I hope that musicians can really feel it now and they don't get it so easily. I mean, I know they do. Most bands that I've worked with really appreciate their fans. But it's it's just everything,
Yeah,
live
I mean,
show is such a big part of it.
that's half the fun to me when I'd go to a show is that energy that the crowd kind of is there, and it's like this. I guess it's like potential energy because you just don't know what's going to happen, and when the song breaks out and people just start going crazy,
Yeah.
you just feel it. You get like the hair stands up on the back of your neck and whatnot. Yeah, that's so much fun. So, to go to a show, I can imagine if you're a musician, then you go to well, I've played to empty rooms, so I know what it's like to when nobody's there. Um, but when you've been in the photo pit, have you ever been like hurt or injured just by the sheer craziness of the crowds and whatnot?
Hells yes. Well,
Oh my
first,
god.
oh man, I have so many injuries. I can't even tell you. Yeah, I was pushed by the crowd at a Slayer show,
Oh yeah, oh my
violent,
god.
violently, because I was like standing on the barricade and they did not like it. Fair enough. I was blocking the view, but I think like asking me nicely to get up would be probably nicer. But okay. Yeah, I fell many times. I got punched in the face at a Metallica show. Yeah, a lot of injuries for sure. I had spears spilled all over me at festivals, on my
Yeah.
camera. uh, yeah, definitely pushed on the barricade by fans many, 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 many times, and by other photographers too. So there.
Yeah, I've always been curious about the I don't want to call it competition, but just the other people in the photo pit that are kind of trying to get
Oh, a lot of
pictures.
people do call it competition. Sadly,
Yeah,
yeah.
but I can imagine being at like a Slayer show or a Metallica show, just kind of that's a wild crowd. That's a gnarly crowd.
You're cutting off. What were you saying? Sorry.
Oh, sorry, I was just saying how the crowds at like a Slayer or a Metallica show that must be intense to say the least.
Very, very intense. Yeah. But in a
Oh
good
man.
way, in the best way. They're just so into it, and they don't want anybody in their way. I always go in the photo pit and I always turn to the people in the front and I say, I'm really sorry. I'm here to do my jobs. I'm only here for 3 songs and then I'm out of your faces. I always say that every single show. And they were like, "Oh, that's so nice of you. No one ever said that to us." And I'm like, "Of course." I'm like, "I don't want you to, like, think that I don't know it's super annoying. It's super annoying. That's just a fact. People paid money. People waited for hours, especially the front row. They just wanna see everything, and the beginning of the show is such an exciting part of the show. Yeah, if I made the rules, I would probably say to bring in the photographers at song 4, 5, 6, when the crowd is a little bit, like, less. They're still excited, but it's not like the peak. The peak is at the beginning and at the end. So I would bring, and also the artist is a little bit more warmed up, I guess. So I would rather that, but I don't make the rules, so there.
Yeah. Well, speaking of people like, Slayer, I saw a photo that you took of Carrie King, which is incredible. And that you have a very famous photo of James Hetfield spitting, which is like iconic to me. And I mean,
Thank you.
you've also shot, which I can see in the background, your Chris Cornell photo. I mean, you've shot like Tom Petty and Prince and just Lemmy, people that have, rock legends who have passed away. Who is somebody that you would still like to shoot that you haven't just yet?
Rage Against the Machine, definitely. And I was
Mm,
supposed to, before this pandemic happened. Body Count, I was supposed to shoot that week that before the lockdown, and it sucks. I was really looking forward. Never ever shot them. It's a band I grew on. That was very sad. Um, I shot Sting, but I would love to shoot the Police. I don't have any photos of Stuart Copeland, unfortunately. Who else? Yeah, there's always. I pretty much shot everybody I wanted to, but there's always others that I haven't. Yeah, but sadly, I think after this pandemic, I'll probably won't really go back to shooting shows. So um, we'll see, but not as much as I used to, or it's definitely not going to be my main thing anymore. Kind of shifted away from it before the pandemic started uh, for various reasons, but hopefully I'll get to still shoot these guys, photograph these guys.
Yeah, yeah. Stuart Copeland, I'm a big fan of his drumming and the Police in general. So
Amazing.
you were saying, and I know I think what you were talking about, music, the fan project. Is that the rock and roll project that you were talking about?
No, the Rock and Roll Project is a charity campaign that I started during this pandemic for COVID relief to help the community, the music community. I just figured that I have the energy to do it, which I have a lot of friends in the music industry that just are very defeated at the moment, and they just don't. Depression is big. I'm not gonna lie; it's very hard to keep the positive vibes when all of this is around. There's a lot of fear and a lot of unknown and a lot of anxiety, and I think that I can manage my anxiety a little, not better, but I just can, and I just really wanted to use my platform that I have to try and help out. It's something that is very important to me. So I created the Rock and Roll Project, which is a charity campaign, as I said, and it's a blog that features people in the music industry, which I also thought it's going to be kind of like LinkedIn of the music, kind of like an index of the music industry or the music community, because all these people never get recognition. They're so amazing. I mean, they are. I call it the inspiring people that bring music to life. And that's exactly what it is. So, like, I get to meet them when I'm on tour or at a show, but most people don't know who they are, and I think they deserve a little bit of acknowledgement. And also, so I created 14 designs that says rock and roll in different languages, and not says. So no, so I created a collection of 14 T-shirt designs saying the world. How do you say it? Say spelled rock and roll, whatever, in different languages, and I sell them. And 100% of the proceeds I give to Music Cares, which is established by the Music Academy, and they are one of the biggest. They have one of the biggest charities for the music community out there. That's why I chose them, because I know it's legit, and I know that the money goes to the music community, which was very, very important to me. And yeah, that's what the Rock and Roll Project is. So it's a two-part project, and it's been fascinating. I literally gave everything I have into this project in the past couple of months. We're actually launching it officially next week.
Congrats, amazing.
Thank you. Yeah. And hopefully, people will actually buy the t-shirt and we can raise as much money as possible. Again, 100%. I don't even take salary for the hours of work that I put in this project, from building the website to collecting to shooting the campaign. We did a big photo shoot with like 25 people from the music industry, which you bailed on. I believe I invited you and you didn't show up. Um,
Oh, really?
I think so.
Oh
Yeah,
man, I am a dickhead.
no, but yeah, it's a really cool, inspiring project, and I really hope it will bring some fun, as well as we're developing the blog to be more of like a music magazine in the long run, with articles and some tips from pros in the music industry. So I always start small and think big, but it's very important to start small. So that's what I'm doing. And now raising as much money as possible is the main goal of the Rock and Roll Project. So yeah, head to www.therockandrollproject.com for more information.
I'll be sure to link that as well once this episode comes out to try and put some more eyes on it. And I mean, yeah, the music industry has been decimated by this whole pandemic. So it's going to be, as we were talking about earlier, like a venue like Berlin. It's going to be interesting to see what venues still exist after this whole thing is over.
Yeah.
But the exciting thing is, I know that artists, musicians, we are scrappy enough that something else will pop up and there'll be something when people can actually hang out again. But it'll be interesting to see what
Hopefully.
happens.
Yeah, it's really weird times, it's weird time. I just hate that people like give predictions as if they know. It's just so stupid. Just wait it out and see what happens. It's like they're like, oh, then it's gonna be like this, and then you're gonna be like, I'm like, shut up, you don't know. It's just like try to get the best of the moment right now. We never know and what's going to happen tomorrow. That's just the reality of things. So like put your energy instead of complaining and I mean, look, I know that it's hard not to live in fear. I live in fear too. Like I fear this, I have anxiety. It's very hard to keep positive and optimistic, but we don't have a choice. So like I rather take this and put my efforts into something good, something that can help out others, and keep creative than just panic. And some people are better at that, I guess, than others. And I hope that people will have some hope because of it.
Yeah, I've been seeing a lot of, I mean, as everybody has, just so many people that are sucked into the news or just, media, this and that, and living in a state of fear, which I totally understand because it is uncertain right now. But like you said, making any sort of prediction, like it's useless. No one knows what's going to happen. And while again, I know we're all stressed and anxious and this and that, I just I don't I think it's best to try to dig really deep and figure out how you can kind of take advantage of the moment now and figure out how you can, stay hopeful, stay positive, continue to stay creative and work on whatever it is. Like you said, start
Definitely.
small. You don't have to take over the world in a week, but take some
Right, or
steps.
really do stuff that you didn't have time to do, do stuff that, why not? I mean, you have all this time,
I'm
do
with you.
it.
Yeah.
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 I don't know. I guess I'm a person that really like to see the positive in things. I always have. I was always very hopelessly romantic and very optimistic. And I don't know. I just don't believe in. I don't believe in creating problems. I believe in solving problems. It's something that comes very natural to me. I like solving problems. If it's my problem, somebody else's problems. If something break, I try to fix it. I don't sit and complain about it. Like even if I worked an hour on a video and then my computer crashed, I won't sit and cry about it. I will just like, I'll be like, oh my god, and then a minute later I'll just start recovering it. I just don't believe in dwelling. Dwelling is just no good can come out of of that.
I too am with you on that. Where if working on like a podcast and the whole thing just crashes, it's like, well, you know what? Sitting there and complaining and dwelling is not going to help. So I might as well just get back to work and make it happen and figure it out. And
Hey, hey, don't crash this episode.
I'd never. um, what's up with Distortion Unplugged? Your clothing brand, is that still going strong? Are you still building that out, or have you kind of shifted to the rock and roll project right now?
Oh my god, absolutely, it's going on. It's going on more than ever. Actually, because of this pandemic, I finally had time. I started Distortion Unplugged 3 years ago, very, very small. Again, I knew that I don't have the time to really invest in the brand because I was constantly on the go, constantly on tours, constantly at festivals. I would shoot 13, 15 festivals every summer, a lot of
Damn.
shows out of town. Like I was nonstop, honestly. And I knew that that's my life for the moment. Like that was my plan. I was just like, as long as I can, as long as I physically can, I will run around stages and shoot as much as I can. Um, and the goal was to get to my 40s and kind of like slow down and focus on the brand, which is exactly what I'm doing right now. And yeah, I wanted to do that anyway, to work more on my film projects and Distortion Unplugged. So, I kind of planted the seeds and kind of learned the business, retail and any business. It's, a lot to learn and a lot to experience. So in those 3 years, I kind of feel like I learned more of the technical side of business. and retail. I learned from my mistakes. I researched a lot. And now I wasn't planning on doing it right now, but the pandemic kind of like made me focus on the brand, which is actually great. It's kind of like a great thing in disguise, I guess, because I was going to get there anyway. So yeah, I designed a lot of new products. I gave I took a partner to work with me. Her name is Nora. She's amazing. We actually met on tour. She's a tour manager. She was the tour manager for Baby Metal, a band that I toured with for 2 years. Um, and we're just great friends. And she just became my business partner. And we literally work day and night on the brand now and adding a lot of new designs, new products, which you should come and model for me because you're still my favorite.
I was looking at the site and it was awesome to see back when I was a blondie. I had some longer hair, but yeah, I totally remember modeling the shirts and you say the word. I would love to. I
Players, players, we have plenty of new stuff. I would love you to come back and model for me. You did such a great job, and I love to see you on the website. I still use those photos. They're still like. But we have so many new things. Like we kind of extended to home and living as well. So I have a lot of really really awesome new products from like mugs, blankets, towels, like really expanding. Everything is obviously music related and photography related and things that are dear to me and close to me. And really, the brand's motto, beside rock and roll you can wear, is also made by music fans for music fans. That's everything I do comes with just love to music, and um, I'm very excited. We have a lot of new things coming, and the Rock and Roll Project is just a sub project of Distortion Unplugged because I just had the platform to do it. But what we did with the project is I took the Rock and Roll in Hebrew shirt, which is one of my first designs, and believe it or not, one of the most popular designs of Distortion Unplugged. I did not expect that at all.
Interesting. Yeah.
Bec- yeah, because it's in Hebrew, but it was really a popular design. It sold almost immediately every time that I restocked it. That's how the Rock and Roll Project actually came to mind, is because of that shirt. I was like, people really love rock and roll in Hebrew. It's a conversation starter. People love the gimmick of it, the idea of it. It's really cool concept. Why won't I just extend that one and just do it in multiple, kind of like reunite the world in the name of rock and roll? So that's how the project came into mind. And I actually used my clothing brand to help out. So it's everything I do kind of ties together. Everything I do in life ties together, you know?
Yeah, that makes sense. I remember modeling the that rock and roll shirt as well. So it's cool. That's
Right.
amazing to hear that that's one of the best sellers. I mean, it's a dope shirt, so it makes sense. But yeah, that's interesting. And
All right, right. I love that photo of you with the guitar. I just posted
yeah.
it the other day. Yeah. Oh yeah, that
Yeah.
is you. That's you.
Yeah.
Right. I forgot
And
because we also did the catalog shoot and we did the actual shirt shoot. You were excellent. Yeah, you
yeah,
definitely
we
come
got a lot
back.
done then.
Please come
And
back.
I still wear my Oasis setlist shirt, like once a week or something like that, like very often. And
Awesome.
back when it's like, summertime, so I just have to wear a t-shirt everywhere I go. I'll always catch people like looking at it to the point where they're like trying to figure it out. And then they'll come to like, Supersonic or some song that they definitely know. They're like, oh, okay, I get this. I know what the shirt is about. But
That's great.
everywhere I go, people stare at that one. And that's like one of my favorite ones ever. So
Oh, thank you. I'm glad you like it. But say it's like all fan related. It's like that's a set list I got at their show. It's a signed set list actually, I think, that I got at the was it Roseland show, I think, or something small. Yeah, so everything I try to like every piece in Distortion Unplugged, I try to have like a meaning behind it, or you know, it's a lot of it is inspired from everything in the music world, and yeah. Kind of my tribute to music and music fans.
yeah, exactly. That's what I was curious about. having a brand that's like for music fans by music fans. What is like a takeaway that you'd want somebody, whether they see your photography or your podcast or your the clothing lines, what's like a message or takeaway that you'd love for people to come away with?
Just it's really exactly what I said. It's music. It's for the music. It's made by music fans for the music fans. Everything is just from the deepest love to music and understanding. Being a professional music fan, from one professional music fan to another professional music fan, it's all about that. It's the deep understanding of being a fan. I just want people to have joy. I think the music is something that brings everybody together. There is no war. There is no hard feel. Of course, there's feuds between some fans, but it's like music to me brings the purest joy, um, just pure joy. And that's what I want people to take from this brand. It's things they love, things that makes them smile, gifts for music loving, friends. Just like I say, like I have this design that's made out of all my tickets, tickets, show tickets, ticket show. What do you say? I have a design that's made out of all the show tickets that I have, and it's just, I want people to look at it and say, "Oh my god, like I collect my tickets." And it's a lot of memories. It's a lot of I want people to reminisce. I want it to be a conversation starter. Hey, do you remember we went to see Kiss in da 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 da? Like, do you remember that? It's all about, memories and live shows to me. They just like everything. They bring so much memories. I remember walking to an REM show with my one of my first boyfriends, or my first boyfriend in Israel. I will never forget that show. To me, live shows and music in general is the soundtrack for my life. You listen to a song and you're like, oh my God, that was my first kiss. Oh my God, that's when I went this. Oh, I remember this from the trip. Oh, this is a heartbreak. Music is really everything. So to me, this brand, I want people to, you know, eh, little bits and pieces of memories from everything. So like I have a Suicide Blonde shirt, I have awards like Killer Queen, or like, things from lyrics, things from could be visual images, it could be lyrics from songs, it could be set list of a show that you really love. It could be so many things, tickets, it could be, that's what inspires me. And that's how I operate. I just want to bring smiles, happiness, good memories to people, especially now, when people look at my photography and they say, "I feel like I was at that show," I've and it I get a lot of those emails, really a lot of emails from people that say, "Oh, I missed that show," or "I miss that person who passed away and that was their favorite band," or "I miss, being at a live show right now," or, "You captured the spirit of that." I look at that photo and I feel like I was there. Ugh, I have the chills right now just by saying that out loud. And I cry. I cry to every email that I get. I'm like, oh my god, I was able to bring somebody to feel the way that that artist makes me feel, or they feel when they see them live. So to me, if I can do that by a product or a print or a photo or a memory, I just want to bring happiness to people. That's simple as that, honestly. Simple as that. Sorry, that was the longest answer in the history of answers.
That was perfect. I think along the lines of what you were saying, I think at one point, or maybe you still do, you had a picture that you took of Tom Petty hanging up in your apartment, and I forget when I came over to your spot. I think that was before he passed
It was
away,
way before.
but it was, yeah. Yeah, but he was one of the ones, not who I'd expected, but he was one of the ones that like was a bit devastated over when he passed
Yes.
away. And all I think about when I listen to him or kind of see pictures of him, I just think of the one that was hanging up in your apartment when I was over there that one time.
Do you
And I
want it?
think that's
I actually took it off, and I have another Tom Petty that I replaced with, but I can give that one to you if you like it.
Oh my God,
Yeah, I'm actually looking for a new home for it. So if you
I
want
would
it, it's a,
fucking die if I had that photo. I
yeah,
like I
it's yours.
also feel
It's yours.
guilty to not pay for it, but
No, no, no.
that
It's
thing.
absolutely my product. Are you kidding me? You did so much for me and my brand, and I would love to. I would love to give it to you if you would want it. Yes, it's yours.
Jesus. Wow. Well, yeah, I mean, that would I don't even know what to say, but yeah, that would be like you were saying, bringing joy to people,
It was
spreading
actually
joy.
replaced with this Chris Cornell. That's exactly where that Tom Petty was. And now Chris Cornell is there. I have another Tom Petty somewhere else, but yeah, it's yours.
Oh my God. Well, I'm feel like I'm the luckiest boy on the world in the world right now. So,
Mm.
um, thank you so much. Um, and then I mean, just to kind of, close things out, I know you're kind of talking about distortion unplugged and continue to build that and rock and roll project. I
Mhm.
know it's kind of tough to predict shit right now, but what's kind of next in the next coming months or year? What are you really trying to continue to build?
So I'm working on the fan project, which is a long-term project that I've been working on for a very, very long time, something like 9, 10 years. It's finally happening. Now the pandemic delayed it a bit, but we're still working hard on it. Definitely working on Distortion Unplugged. I have so many dreams and plans for the future. Never enough time for me. I don't know how I'm gonna do everything I want to do in this lifetime. I have another film that I have after this one. Oh shit, did I just say film? I don't know, erase that. I have another project in mind. A film I have another I have a okay. I have a film project that I want to do after I'm done with other projects I'm working on now. So yeah, definitely going back to films uh, in the near future. I have, oh my God, so many. So I can't even tell you. I have so many things I want to do. I hope I'll get to do everything I want to do. And I hope, and every time I think I'm done with new dreams, I get new ones. It's like, it's a constant reborn of passion and dreams that I have. So I'm lucky. What can I say? Like a lot of people don't know what they want to do with their lives. I have too much that I want to do in my
Too
life.
much.
Yeah, really too much. And but I work hard. I dedicated myself to everything. And a lot of it is because I want to make people happy. I really do. I really, really hope that I can.
Yeah, well, I've seen firsthand how hard you work, and just through the personal touch that I've gotten from your products and whatnot, I really look forward to seeing how many more people you're going to infect with this positivity and joy, and just sharing in the spirit of music and rock and roll. Because, I mean, I think now more than ever, but just forever and always, people need that. We need to see positive things
Absolutely.
happening, and also what better way than whether it's visual arts and or music to convey those things. So I'm super excited to see what you do. It's going to be amazing.
Thank you so much. I just think that the message that I want to say is uh, and by no means telling people how to deal with things, but I find it to work for me. The more we dwell on and grieve, I mean, I'm not saying you shouldn't grieve on things that you're sad about, but the more you dwell on sadness, the weaker you become. And like when I am very frustrated, instead of sinking into frustration, I really try to use this frustration and turn it to inspiration and lift myself up and do something that is meaningful. When you do things that are meaningful for others, for yourself, it helps you deal and it helps you cope with these hard times. So I hope that people will try and, you know, do creative stuff or things that makes them happy instead of, lingering on this frustration. And of course, every day is different, but it's something that people should remember. It shall pass, I hope. And if not, make the best of this time. I mean, you can find joy in any time. I mean, this is not the Holocaust. You still have some of your freedom. I mean, you're still in your house. Even if you're locked in your house, it's still your fucking house. It's like it's not like you're not down in a cave starving to death. I'm sorry, I'm sorry to bring on all these tragedies, but really, you hear of things, and people are find their death in falling into caves. People are dying of horrible diseases. Of course, corona is a horrible disease as well, but a lot of people do snap out of it. So it's like you gotta hold on. instead of whining about the coronavirus taking your freedom, decorate your house and feel good in your house. I gotta say that, yeah, I'm trapped in my apartment, but I'm making it cozy and nice, and I'm happy to be here. Say thank you that you have a house. If you do, if you don't, I'm sorry to hear that. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah. And it's to take any sort of negative situation and do your best to turn it positive, or just at least always be looking at the upside and figuring out ways that you can just make it the best for what it is right now. And I know Corona is hard and this is hard and this and that, but like you said, whether it's decorating your house or just doing something for maybe for somebody else that is in need, just taking it little by little, one day at a time, and doing what you can to find little
Yeah.
moments of joy and make little things happen.
Write that book you always wanted. Make that puzzle that's on the shelf. It doesn't have to be creative. I mean, I'm a creative person. Not everybody is creative and feet of creativity. But there's so many other things you can do. Become a better cook. Work on your garden. Whatever. Find your passion. God for God. We have the internet. I mean, can you imagine if these things would have happened when we didn't have the internet? Like, what would you do? How would you stay in touch with people? Like, I remember in the Gulf War, I was actually in the Gulf War in Israel. We only had a dial-up phone that, was constantly busy because people would check on their relatives, and we fucking sat in a basement with the door taped, and that was a real
Jesus.
war. Yeah, that was a real war, and no internet. I didn't see my friends in months and months. I mean, come on, you gotta see the positivity in this. There's a lot of comfort. I mean, it's not a great situation, and I know a lot of people are dying, but you got to stick to the positivity. It's like we have to. There's no other way.
I couldn't agree with you more. And yeah, what a sense of perspective if you're in the, having been in the Gulf War and dealt with something like that. And now, you know, it's good lessons to have and to know where, like you said, we have the internet now. We can start podcasts, we can be talking to people from all over the world. So
Yeah,
yeah, count.
yeah. See, that's why you started podcast. You can do this. You do something else. I mean, yes. What do you think? I don't miss live shows like no other. I used to go to see 6, 7 shows, sometimes 2 shows a night. Okay, I miss it too. But it's not happening right now. So let's raise money for the hard people, the people that worked hard at live shows, and because they don't have anything else to do right now. Let's do that. Let's help out. Let's think of ways to help out others. Let's think of way to keep positive. I mean, it's better than sitting and look, you gotta be a little bit in denial too. I feel like, that saying like fake it till you make it. It's almost like the same. It's like you gotta be a little bit in denial and not dwell and think about it all the time, because if you do, it's just scary. It's just
Yeah, there's a
scary.
lot. Yeah, absolutely. Lots of scary shit out there. Absolutely.
So you can be afraid, or you can conquer the fear and live with it. Live with the fear. Just live with the fear. Be best friends with the fear and go places and do things. Don't try to go against it. Just go with it. It's a scary fucking time, man. I mean, it really is.
Yeah, and we're doing what we can. We're doing our best, and I think that's a lovely place to kind of end things. Where you're talking about living with the fear, bringing joy, focusing on the positive, and this will.
And things sound so dramatic.
I mean it.
We're gonna end things.
uh,
After all that, you're telling me you want to end things. Oh my god.
uh, yeah, but I've always appreciated the message that you've been conveying through all of different media, whether that's listening to you doing some DJ sets at home, taking beautiful photos, the clothing that I've obviously loved and championed, and I'll be in touch to
Hmm.
model some more whenever you're ready. But um,
Please.
I've just always appreciated what you've been up to, so I can't wait to see
Thank
what
you
else
so
you
much.
do.
Thank you so much for your support, your endless support. I really appreciate it.
Of
And
course.
I love everything you do too. Yeah, even your song was on my podcast, and you're modeling my clothes. So the mutual is it's a very mutual feeling, my friend. So thanks for your support, and I love that we support one another. It's very important.
Donna, thank you so much for doing this. Again, I really appreciate your time, and always just nice to catch up with you.
I love you, man. And now you'll have to see me because I'm going to give you that print. So
I know. I'm like, cool. I'll see you in a couple hours then.
I need to
But
bring it from storage, but it's yours. Definitely yours.
man, that's fucking amazing. All right. Well, thank you so much. We'll link up in person, and I can't wait. And yeah, I'm excited to see all the amazing things you do.
Thank you, darling. Thanks for having me.
Of course. I'll talk to you soon. Bye. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of The Gifted Conversations. If you like what you heard, please subscribe, tell a friend, or leave a review. Or if you hated it, feel free to tell me to fuck off or leave a negative comment. Anything is welcome. Appreciate the support, and I'm sending you positive thoughts and energy.